Investors were quick to react to Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs today, despite a plea from the White House press secretary this morning.
To anyone on Wall Street this morning, I would say trust in President Trump. This is a president who is doubling down on his proven economic formula from his first term.
And Kris McCusker joins us now. And Kris, investors pretty much ignored that message. It was an ugly day on the markets.
It was an ugly day. So the Dow and the NASDAQ each dropped by more than 1,000 points. For the S&P, it was the worst day since 2020. So the S&P and the Dow are now back to their lowest levels since September. That takes us back to before the U.S. election, so that's notable. The NASDAQ is close to its lowest level since August, now down 17% from its record high. Bay Street saw its worst day in years. It dropped by almost 1,000 points. The worst point drop on Bay Street is 1760, so we didn't get close to the worst point drop, but still pretty painful.
And a lot of people are losing a lot of money. Okay, ever since Trump took over, trillions have actually been wiped off the books, and now some Canadian companies are feeling that pain as well.
Yeah, and this is sort of renewed. They're taking a renewed hit because of the tariffs. We're talking about companies like Aritzia. This is the women's clothing retailer. Analysts point out that the tariffs are somewhat punitive on retailers who sell their goods to the U.S. And then other Canadian companies like Lululemon, Canada Goose, those stocks sold off for similar reasons today. Countries like China supply goods to these two retailers, things like materials and fabric, so that's a concern going forward.
So they're getting dinged by these tariffs, we think?
Yes, additional dings on top of other concerns that were already in play with retailers. There was one exception on the TSX today, shares in Dollarama. That stock did hit an all-time high, sort of bucking the trend.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, more so on the earnings report, really, than anything else. Beat on earnings, and then the guidance was also in line with expectations. And if things are not busy enough for you, Cynthia, we get a jobs report in Canada and the U.S. tomorrow.
Okay, that's going to be really interesting to see, and how long these markets will stay so low.
Right.
All right, Kris McCusker, thanks for joining us.
Never a dull moment.